office who attends all the CAPS meetings between both of those two districts. With regard to economic development, I mean, you know, we've seen our thoroughfares, our neighborhood thoroughfares, such as 75th, 79th, Exchange Avenue, 83rd, and 95th, deteriorate over the years. So I have begun a process where I'm engaging investors, bankers, experts, if you will, to come to the table and to really listen to the community. We are having the second phase of this forum will be next week on March 19th. And it's an opportunity to kind of discuss what retailers look at, but also what the community wants. And I think bringing resources to our neighborhood schools. Most of our neighborhood schools are level 1 or level 1 plus. We probably only have like 2 schools in the ward, and a couple of those were just recently mapped in that aren't level 1 or level 1 plus. So making sure that our neighborhood schools have the resources that they need.
Please, if you've not already submitted a card, walking around with a basket, please do so that when we proceed to that portion of the program, we'll be able to include your commentary as well. Thank you. Our next question will be presented to Alderman Holmes first. According to a recent report by the Chicago Tribune, the 7th Ward has the 3rd highest concentration of CHA voucher choice holders. How do you plan to address the ongoing issues with CHA, and what is your plan for affordable housing in the 7th Ward?
Well, let me start by first saying that there's affordable housing in the 7th Ward, and that is why we have so many voucher holders who have chosen to live here. It is a choice voucher that is issued by the CHA. And, you know, while you can live in the 7th Ward with your voucher, you have to travel elsewhere to get to work. So I was a part of the Affordable Requirements Ordinance Rewrite Task Force. And basically that provides incentives for developers who want to utilize city dollars or city land. It allows them to be able to build housing and have an affordable requirement with that. A part of the rewrite of that ordinance, you know, presents an opportunity for communities like ours to gain better opportunities when development comes along. And unfortunately, again, in the time frame that I'm given, I can't really explain all the details. But, you know, I think that we are in an opportunity now with this new Affordable Requirements Ordinance to be able to address those issues. You know, I held a housing forum in October, and it started off being just a rental forum and then a landlord's tenant forum. And then it moved to a housing forum because I don't want to stigmatize anyone because of their socioeconomic status. So yes, we do have, actually we're the 2nd largest area in the city that has CHA choice voucher holders. But what we need to address with a larger issue is that people be able to live where they want to live instead of going to a place where they have to live because that's all they can afford with their voucher.
Same question, Mr. Mitchell. Sure. According to a recent Chicago Tribune study, the 7th Ward has the 3rd highest concentration of CHA voucher choice holders. How do you plan to address the ongoing issues with CHA, and what is your affordable housing plan for the ward?
So the ongoing issues with the choice voucher holders, as been communicated to me, and as I have experienced it throughout the ward, is the behaviors of both the participants and the lack of accountability of the investors or the property owners. The first thing I would like to do is to work with CHA staff to make sure that the CHA voucher holders are held accountable, because there are certain requirements that go with the voucher. They also hold the investors or property owners accountable, because they are also to be held under certain requirements. And those things include like keeping the property keeping the property clean and presentable in neighborhoods and things like that. So then those are the 2 things I would work with the CHA to do. How we address the low I do. I actually agree with there is an abundance of low-income housing within the 7th Ward. I want to make sure that as we grow, as the 7th Ward grows, that we continue to have that in our minds to continue to create affordable housing for future residents.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Mitchell. Given the fact that Chicago has 2 seasons, winter and construction, and we just concluded winter hopefully, and now we're transitioning into construction. How do you plan to allocate it as alderman, the $1.3 million that the board receives in capital improvement dollars, and do you support participatory budgeting?
Excellent question. Yes, I absolutely support the participatory budget process. As a matter of fact, for those of you who've spoken with me throughout the campaign, that is one of the biggest things I'm going to bring to the board. Government is supposed to be about inclusion and not exclusion, so therefore I'm going to have that participatory budget process. And how I will do it is this. The 7th Ward is divided between four areas, 4 communities. We have South Shore, South Chicago, Calumet Heights, and South Perry. I would seek to bring representatives from each area of the ward, bring their wish list, and we all sit down and talk about the things that they want in their respective communities. We will sit, we will prioritize what can be done, what time frames, and open it up to a very engaging experience. So when we walk away from the meeting, we know what blocks are getting lights, who's getting this, who's getting that, and people won't feel like, Greg is certain blocks is only getting certain attention because Greg is the alderman. I want it to be a fair process, and I want it to be a consistent process.
Sure. Do you support participatory budgeting, and how do you plan to allocate the capital improvement funds that are allocated to each ward?
So, as was mentioned, every alderman gets $1.3 million to do capital improvement programs in their ward. When you have wards that are extremely large, like the 7th Ward, which extends basically from 71st Street to 107th Street, we have over 350, 375, 400 blocks of capital improvements that need to be done. My background is that I used to program federal funding for local service transportation projects. And I've taken what I've done in that prior experience and applied it to the aldermanic menu process. Participatory budgeting, when it's called out and it's given this name of participatory budgeting, that there's a process, like, that's what it is. When you make a request to my office with regard to some capital improvement that needs to be done, it becomes a part of our list. If it can become a part of the current menu, we add it in. If it becomes a part of a menu that is the next year, we add it in. What I think the bigger question is, and the bigger issue is that wards like the 7th Ward, the 9th Ward, the 8th Ward, the 10th Ward, where we have a lot of area to cover, there needs to be an adjustment in how the aldermanic menu is actually appropriated to aldermen. We have aldermen on the north side who can use their menu money for murals, but we can't do that over here because we have so much infrastructure that needs to be dealt with. So the larger issue there is dealing with how the monies are appropriated from the city, the state, and the federal level, not just, we're going to answer your request in my office. That's, participatory budgeting, that's just something that they're, putting out there to get people riled up. The bigger issue is how we allocate those funds at a larger level. Thank you.
So just a follow-up to that question. Given the fact that we know that there are a range of projects, infrastructure projects will be taking place this summer, whether it's through utility projects or capital improvement, what are your plans as far as notification of residents so that we don't just discover our sidewalks are being torn up or streets are being redirected? How do you plan, both of you, to educate residents about the plans for capital improvement projects?
So for my office, let me say this. We have a range of ways of how we reach out to people. We do robocalls. we do text messaging, we do the web, and we do handheld flyers. And we've done that over the course of the past 2 years that I've been alderman. So while we may not reach you through one venue, we reach you through another venue. The second is when the utility companies and other agencies are doing work, they do the notification themselves. They actually have people come out and flyer the neighborhood. Most of you are aware of things that have happened over the course of the past year. We've had a lot of work with water and sewer throughout the northern part of the ward. That is going to continue to move out through the southern part of the ward. And we made sure that if you didn't get the notification and if you did get a ticket or anything like that, we've addressed that issue. So we are definitely making sure that you are aware of the situation that is happening on your block and in your neighborhood. And at the same time, we are also making sure that if there are any infractions that occur because of that, whether it be on the utility provider side or our side, we make sure to handle that.
Any improvement that is going to take place in the 7th Ward has to be planned. So if it's planned, we can plan to discuss it, bring it to the residents' attention in weekly ward meetings, quarterly state of the ward meetings, and things like that. Dissemination of information is very vital to this community. Once again, as I spoke with a lot of residents in the ward, they feel that information is not disseminated timely, it's not disseminated effectively, and sometimes it's not even reliable. It's outdated, things like that. We want to put a stop to that. This is the information age. We can post, we would have it posted on the website. We would post it through possible potential robocalls. But for the most part, we're going to utilize every form of technology as well as personal engagement to let the residents know what is being done. I'll give you an example. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a pipe that burst on 83rd Street. The city of Chicago came down the street and started to repair it. Well, no one was notified on the block. This is 83rd Saginaw. The pipe was, they opened it up, more flooding took place, and it was an ice rink on 83rd Saginaw. That cannot happen. It's unacceptable. People couldn't even go to work. Under my administration, the communication and dissemination of information will almost be like clockwork. You have to get the information out, inform the residents. That is our responsibility, and there's no way around it.
Thank you so much. We're going to transition to another portion of the program that is considered rapid fire. Each of you will be asked to answer a question just in a yes or no format as we proceed through these public policy issues. We recognize that not only is the alderman the custodian of city services, but also has to legislate in a larger context pertaining to matters that affect the entire city of Chicago. So again, these are issues that we'd like a yes or no response from each of you. Eliminating red light cameras. Yes. Or no?
I don't think a yes or no really allows people to understand.
Can you speak to the mic so we can hear you?
I don't think a yes or no answer really allows people to address the issue of what red light cameras do, are, and how they are being affected in the city.
Elected school board.
Guys, that was a quick no because in its current form, no. We can always come back to the table, revisit it, and implement it in a more prudent way. That's why it was yes.
Very good. Elected school board.
Yes.
I think that there should be a process where there's there should be a vetting process, and that's my stance on the elected schools.
Single room occupancy buildings. That's our